Okay, welcome to the February immersion. I'm really happy that you could all be here. Let's sit straight for the invocation to Patanjali. Fold the palms, close the eyes. Take a moment to get connected, body, breath, and mind, senses, speech working together. Flush out any stresses of the day with the exhalation. Flush out from different compartments of the body, such as head, face, brain, and skull, chest. Exhale further and further. Exhale from the abdomen. Let this be a kind of purifying, washing process so the mind becomes clear. Flush out from the pelvic region, like you flush the toilet, like you wash away, like you remove the debris and dirt from the mind. And then have a silent utterance of Om, sometimes as you inhale, sometimes as you exhale, and observe the vibrations within. Om. 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 Yogena chittasya padena vacham. Malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena. Yopa karotam pravaram muninam. Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Abahu purushakaram. Shankha chakra siddharinam. Sahasra shirsam shvetam. Pranamami Patanjalim. Harihi Om. Raise the chest up. With the exhalations, bow the head to the heart. Bring the hands to the thighs. Gradually raise the head and open the eyes. Okay, change the cross of the legs if you like. So today we're going to talk about the 8-limb path of yoga and illumination. So lighting up. So the 8 limbs of yoga are yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So just to briefly summarize, yamas are the mighty universal vows. They're called vrattas that offer us restraints to for the purification and knowledge process. Niyamas are the things that we should do. They're personal observances on the path. So the yamas are nonviolence, truthfulness, non-stealing, continence in sexuality, and non-greed, non-covetousness. So those are the things that by practicing those things, we take ourselves away from the path of suffering and we get on the path of freedom. And then there are personal observances, Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, and Ishvara Pranidhana. So Shaucha is cleanliness or purity. This is external and internal, more importantly, internal. And I'll say more about each of these things later on. Shaucha, Santosha is contentment, being content. Tapaha is zeal for practice, austerity, the willing to accept austerities for spiritual growth. Swadhyaya is translated as self-study. Swa is self. Dhyaya is like dhyana, concentration. But in the tradition, Swadhyaya is typically japa or recitation of mantra or holy names. And Ishvara Pranidhana is surrender to God. So that's the bhakti. When we talked about the 4 types of yoga, jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, karma yoga, path of service, jnana, bhakti, and then so knowledge, jnana, bhakti is devotion, and the last one is dhyana, and that's the meditation path. So once again, so bhakti yoga is devotion, and so that is in the 8 limbs as part of surrender to God. Okay, so that's devotion. Then karma yoga is the yoga of action without being attached to the fruits. Jnana yoga is path of knowledge, and that is associated with Vedanta, another school of Indian philosophy. And then the other path is called dhyana yoga, which is the yoga of meditation. Okay, so those are the niyamas. And then, so we have yamas, the 5 yamas, the 5 niyamas, and then asana. Asana is the 3rd limb on this 8-limb path. Asana are the postures that we practice. And then pranayama, which is the regulation of prana in the body. So it's not breath. Breath is the vehicle for prana. Just keep that in mind. Pratyahara, withdrawal of the senses toward the source, is the 6th limb. The 7th limb, pratyahara, dharana. So that's the 5th limb, sorry. The 6th limb is dharana or concentration. Then it's dhyana, meditation, that's concentration for a long time. And then finally, samadhi or complete absorption of the awareness with the self, chitta with the self. Okay, so those are the 8 limbs. Now I want you to turn to Sutra 228. So the 2nd pada of the Yoga Sutras, penned by Patanjali some 2,000 years ago. The 2nd pada is on practice. All right, 228 for my book, it's on page 139. So it reads, Yoganga, Yoganga, Yoganga Anushtanat Ashudhikshaye Jnanadipti Aviveka Kyate. All right, so repeat after me. Yoga Anga Anushtanat Ashudhikshaye Ashudhikshaye Jnana Diptihi. So when it has that little dot under it, you just repeat the syllable. Aviveka Kyate. All right. So if you so the words yoga is to yoke or to join, to associate, to unite. And so what are we uniting? We're uniting the awareness with Purusha. We're bringing the awareness away from sense objects in the world and bringing them to yoke with the true self. So we're turning the consciousness inward, purifying the consciousness and turning it inward. That's yoga and quietening the mind. All right, anga is components, aspects, or limbs. Angas are limbs. 139. Does anybody else need to know where we are? $228. So do you have this?
Yes.
Well, open yours. You can also look in your version, although I did ask you to get the BKS Iyengar version. Do you have that?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. All right. So the anga, so yoga we have defined. Anga, components, accessories, aspects, or limbs. Anushtanat, okay, by devoted practice, anushtanat. So anushtanat is an important word because it is an Oriental concept of philosophy and religion that means dedication to an inward process towards spirit purification. It's inward. It's an inward, dedicated, ritualized practice. Okay, and then ashuddhi. Ashuddhi are impurities. So shuddhi means pure, and ashuddhi means impure. So what are, okay, so we're going to go through each of these words, and then kshaya is diminish or destroy. Kshaya. Jnana is true knowledge or wisdom, and diptihi shines forth, radiates. And then aviveka kyatehe means toward the ultimate knowledge, toward the ultimate knowledge. So the sutra reads, by dedicated practice of the various aspects of yoga, impurities are destroyed and the crown of wisdom radiates in glory. Okay, so we need to know what are the impurities that are being destroyed and what is wisdom, right? So the Yoga Sutras talk about kleshas, klesha vrittis, or afflictions. So these kleshas are avidya, which means spiritual ignorance. It means that we think we are this body and this mind. We think we are this age, this gender, this nationality. We identify with these external things. And we don't really know that we're none of these things because we are eternal in our essence. But if we say, I am a woman, and you lose your uterus or you lose your whatever, you know, why are you a woman? Well, because I have these genitals. Well, if you lose that, then you're not a woman. Or you say, I'm an American, but then you get deported or something, and then you're not that anymore. These are all temporary identifications. So if you identify with anything, like your socioeconomic status or your education, or even like your intellect, all those things you can lose. You will lose. We will lose those things. So then you just suffer. You You just, your whole life is one of loss. And so you have to find a way, and that yoga provides us a way to identify with something that's lasting, that's eternal, and that's real. And that is the true self. That's the concept of Purusha or Atma. All right, so the kleshas are spiritual ignorance, not knowing who you truly are and identifying with these temporary things. Asmita, yes, very similar. It's asmita is the small self. So you don't know because you're identifying with the ego. And then there's raga, which is attachment. So when you have a pleasurable experience, we get attached to that pleasurable experience. We want it to repeat that experience. We don't want it to end. We want more and more of it. If we can't repeat it, we feel deprived. That brings us sorrowing. So attachment is also something that causes suffering. And then dvesh, let's see, raga, dvesha is aversion. So we all have things that we hate or that we want to avoid, people we don't want to see. That also causes suffering. It's just a whiplash reaction of attachment. And then the last one is called abhinivesha, and that is the fear of death. And it is said in the Yoga Sutras that even wise men have this. So if you go to Sutra 2.3, you will see that these are listed. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, kleshaha. So avidya, lack of spiritual knowledge, spiritual ignorance. Asmita, ego, pride, the I, me. Raga, desire, attachment, love, passion, affection. So you might say, oh my gosh, you know, how am I supposed to have children and be a good mother if I can't be attached? They're not talking about that. Although on some level they are, because even your children will not be yours. They will be off on their own someday. They will be, they're even not ours now. They are their own beings. It's not saying you shouldn't care for them. Dvesha, hate, dislike, abhorrence, enmity. So in another place it says that hatred is very closely aligned to anger, and anger leads to violence. So hatred and anger both lead to violence. Abhinivesha is love of life, fear of death, clinging to life, leaning towards attachment, intent, affection, devotion, determination, adherence, tenacity. So if you think about someone clinging to a cliff edge, right? They're going to be tenacious because their life is on the line. So that's a good visual to think about abhinivesha, fear of death and clinging. Okay, so these are all called afflictions or kleshas. Kleshas. All right, and we're talking about kleshas because they're a form of impurity. So these are some of the things that we want to weaken. We want these things to become weakened or eradicated so that we can feel less suffering and have more freedom. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, and many other Hindu texts, they will also talk about something called the 6 enemies or Shadripus. Do any of you know? Do you remember? I've mentioned these before, but it's been a while. Does anybody know what the Shadripus are? 6 enemies? Not this list. This one is lust, so kama, krodha, anger, lust, anger, yeah, moha, delusion, madda, pride or ego, and then matsarya is jealousy. So lust, anger, greed, delusion or infatuation, pride, and jealousy. Those are the things that will eat us up. Those are the things that will make us suffer terribly. And so we want to get rid of those impurities. And this sutra says that the 8 limbs are going to help us get rid of these impurities. You understand that? So the dedicated practice of these 8 limbs, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, is going to take away these impurities and lead us toward the crowning light of wisdom. All right. So Viveka Khyati is this crowning light of wisdom. So that is the ability to know the difference between the self and not the self, to know who you really are. So if you know who you really are, then you will suffer less about losing your hair. If you know who you really are, you will suffer less about gaining or losing weight. Does this make sense? Okay. All right, so let's chant this together. Just repeat after me. Avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhiniveshaha, kleshaha, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, kleshaha, avidya, smita. So when there's a 2 A's in a row, you give it an extra beat. Avidya, smita, avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, kleshaha. Okay, so listen to the whole thing. Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, kleshaha. Ready? Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, kleshaha. Okay. So, Brandy, will you read the definition here?
The 5 afflictions which disturb the equilibrium of consciousness are ignorance or lack of wisdom,
That's 1.
ego, pride of the ego or the sense of I,
That's 2.
attachment to pleasure,
3.
aversion to pain,
4.
fear of death, and clinging to life.
That's the 5th. Okay, who would like to read the first paragraph? Siri?
Afflictions are of 3 levels: intellectual, emotional, and instinctive. Avidya and asmita belong to the field of intelligence. Here, lack of spiritual knowledge combined with pride or arrogance inflates the ego, causing conceit and the loss of one's sense of balance. Raga and dvesha belong to emotions and feelings. Raga is desire and attachment. Dvesha is hatred and aversion. Succumbing to excessive desires and attachments or allowing oneself to be carried away by expressions of hatred creates disharmony between body and mind, which may lead to psychosomatic disorders.
Pause. Okay, so that's clearly kind of suffering. Okay, go on.
Abhinivesha is instinctive, the desire to prolong one's life and concern for one's own survival. Clinging to life makes one suspicious in dealings with others and causes one to become selfish and self-centered.
Okay, thank you. So obviously we do need to be caring for ourselves, but can you imagine how having this sense of clinging to life can make you competitive, can make you suspicious of other people, can make you not trust other people? You can see how that would go together, can't you? Yes, yes. Especially if you are in a weakened state, like poor or sick or you've had a bad experience. But it can also happen even if you're wealthy and you're trying to protect your wealth, you're trying to protect your health. So all of us have this abhinivesha on some level. So as we read through these kleshas, I want you to try to think about how this shows up in your life, because these are supposed to be universal truths. They are universal truths. Okay. Balita, will you please read the next paragraph?
The root causes of these 5 afflictions are the behavioral functions and thoughts of the various spheres of the brain. Avidya and Ashmita are connected with the conscious front brain, and the top brain is considered the seat of the I consciousness. Raga and Desha are connected with the base of the brain, the hypothalamus. Abhinivesha is connected with the old brain or back brain, which is also known as the unconscious brain, as it retains past subliminal impressions, samskaras.
Okay, so isn't this interesting? By the way, this commentary is called a Vyasa, or is it Vyasa? Not sure. Vyasa. Okay, so this is BKS Iyengar's interpretation of this text, and this is his original contribution. Nobody else has identified parts of the brain that go with these kleshas. Okay, that is his original contribution. So like in your other copy of the sutras, there's not going to be anything in that blue book, right? If you look up Sutra 2-3, there's not going to be anything about the various parts, hemispheres of the brain or the front brain or the back brain. Just look at that tonight, and if anybody has any other translation, you will see that it won't be there, that this is original to him. So he says the front brain is connected with what? Yeah, the sense of I, ego. So I, we're right here. All right, and then the top of the brain, oh, no, you said connected with conscious front brain. Okay, conscious front brain, the things that we're aware of. Conscious front brain. Top brain is I. Raga and Dvesha with the base of the brain, hypothalamus. So hypothalamus regulates, oh no, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, homeostasis, doesn't it? Yeah. So it keeps the systems in balance, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your chemicals. Abhinivesha is reptile brain. Yeah, so amygdala, that area. So you can see that. So all creatures, like lizards, any kind of creature has that. They scurry, they cling to life. It's instinctual. Yes. Right. Very good. So that's another way that shows up in our lives. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So puja, wait a minute now. Okay. So samskaras. So samskaras are subliminal impressions that come from a whole store of karma from previous lives. We carry these things. So I've said to you that the physical body is temporary, right? We're going to slough it off. Mental body is temporary. Subtle body goes with us through subliminal impressions and vasanas. So your habits and your practices of this life condition your experiences in the next life, in addition to experiences in this life. So now, Pooja, will you read about the subliminal impressions, the asterisk?
The sanskara must learn to.
Wait a minute now. No, according to Patanjali.
Yes. According to Patanjali, the 5 functions.
Fluctuations.
Sorry, it's very small. Fluctuations with the 5 afflictions, kleshas, as well as the maturity of intelligence through service.
Savitarka, Nirvitarka, Savichara, Chara, Ananda, and Asmita.
It's very small. for
You need
me.
glasses.
Yes. And I'm trying to,
I'm not
my
talking
ego is
about
saying,
that.
no, you can do it. I need glasses.
All right, all right. Hopefully that doesn't cause too much suffering,
Yes.
that the eyesight
Are
goes.
all functions of the four lobes of the brain. The set of logic is in the front brain. The seat
Of reasoning.
is in the back brain. The imprinting of pleasure and pain takes place in the base, and the seat of individuality, the I or me, is in the top. When all four lobes of brain are cultured and blended together, the brain becomes superconscious.
Okay, so we want to become super conscious. So in addition to uniting body, breath, mind, awareness, senses inward, we want the four lobes of the brain to balance harmoniously. We want them to communicate. We want to subdue the I. We want to use our reasoning when we need to. We want memory. We want to subdue pleasure and pain. We want to get into the blissful brain. Okay. Sophia, will you read the last paragraph?
The
Sadhaka.
the sadhaka must learn to locate the sources of afflictions in order to be able to nip them in the bud through his yogic principles and disciplines.
Okay. So what do you, okay, so sadhaka is a serious practitioner. Okay, and the sadhaka is somebody, and not just a class goer, not just a consumer, but somebody who takes on these practices for spiritual development. So the sadhaka must learn to locate the sources of the afflictions, the source. So that's why I gave that assignment about looking at sources of anger or looking at an affliction, because this is part of your healing. You have to look at your stuff. Some people do that through therapy. Some people do it through 12-step groups. Some people do it through journaling. But some sort of self-inquiry process is absolutely necessary for the path of yoga. And there are many, many ways to do that. So you want to nip these sources in the bud, being overly attached, having hatred. If you notice you have hatred towards somebody, you have to examine it. You can't just pass it off and say, that's fine. Everyone hates him, he's evil. You have to look at this as a defect of your own character. Okay. Nip them in the bud, not only through through yogic principles and disciplines. So what does that sound like? What are yogic principles and disciplines? We talked about them. We talked about, eight yogic disciplines and practices. Now, last time we had in the second session of this, we talked about practice and detachment as the two pillars of yoga. Those are practices as well, but they summarize a whole bunch of other things. So by yogic principles and disciplines, we're talking about the 8 limbs. So this is the second chapter. It goes with Ashtanga yoga. Okay, so now let's go to 229. No, 228. 228 first. So we did partially 228. So 139 that was? We're at 228, and the commentary on this is, okay, so now, Sophia, or no, Brenna, read Patanjali sums up the effects of yoga in this one asana. Or just reread the sutra, please.
The definition?
Yeah, the translation.
By dedicated practice of the various aspects of yoga, impurities are destroyed. The crown of wisdom radiates in glory.
Okay. Right. So we said Anushtanat, the dedicated practice. Okay. Of the various aspects. That is on the previous page. Anga, yoga anga, those are the aspects. You got it? The aspects of the discipline. Okay, yoga anga, anushtanada shudhikshaya. Impurities are destroyed. We talked about the impurities, the kleshas and the shadripus. The kleshas and the shadripus are impurities. And the crown of wisdom, we talked about that. That's in knowing the difference between the real and the unreal, the temporary, the permanent, the eternal and the temporary, the impure, sorry, the pure and the impure. Okay, so now, Brenna, continue.
Patanjali sums up the effects of yoga in this one sutra. He says that by regular and devoted practice, the impurities of the sadhaka's body and mind are consumed. The causes of afflictions removed and the crown of wisdom is acquired. This wisdom and achievement keep the sadhaka innocent and free of pride.
Okay, so they're giving you a kind of ethos, a kind of profile. You can change your sitting position if you like. So this is a big promise. This is why you came here. Nobody comes to yoga. Nobody comes to these things unless they're suffering. And they're aware of it, and they're tired of going out into the world to find that new man or that new outfit or that better hair or the new diet or the new car or whatever, the house or whatever it is that they think will make them happy. Because it's somehow, there has to be more. Am I right? Okay. So these causes, so sorrow has a cause, suffering has a cause. It's rooted in afflictions. Yoga promises to remove the cause of the suffering, the afflictions, so that you know who you are, and then you don't suffer anymore, because you know that you never die. You know that you were never born. You know that you always existed. You know that you come from stardust. You are cosmic. We are cosmic. And that's the knowledge that we're supposed to gain through these disciplines, this yama niyama asana, these mighty vows, the personal observances, the asana practices, the breath work, the withdrawal of the senses, going inward towards meditation and absorption. That is the path to this ultimate freedom, which is true self-knowledge. And I've also said to you that the path of liberation in yoga is not just self-knowledge, but it also is union with God. So it has both of these things. We talked about that. Ishvara pranidhana is the surrender to God. It's one of the niyamas. And in yoga, which comes from Sankhya, that Sankhya philosophical system, Purusha and Prakriti are the two realities from Sankhya, plus Ishvara. That's what yoga offers. So that is how yoga is different from Sankhya, is that bhakti is an explicit part of yoga, and it is not an explicit part of Sankhya, although there are scholars like Prashant Iyengar who will argue that the Sankhya system is not atheist. Okay, but that is a side discussion. The point is that this path is offering us ultimate freedom, and that ultimate freedom is either true self-knowledge or knowledge of God. And in Vedanta, they say you are God, ultimately, right? They say, aham brahmasmi, I am Brahma, Brahman, the one thing that unifies the whole cosmos. I am that one thing. I come from that one thing. Because if you think about the Big Bang, if you believe in that, if you have studied that, there is an explosion that happens, and there are particles, hydrogen and nitrogen, and all those chemicals come from that explosion, and they create, and then that's matter. And The earth is part of the matter, the sun, the earth is part of the matter from our solar system. So we actually would not exist without the sun. The sun came a little bit before the earth in actual cosmology. Like you can look this up on Google. Yeah.
The jnana, the meditation portion of yoga.
Yes.
What did that look like in a yoga practice? Did they include time like we do for shavasana or meditation back then? And where is that in our practice?
Okay, so dhyana means concentrate, or dharana, D-H-A, da is always a reference to concentration and meditation. And so dharana can be a word used for intent. So there's some expression in Hindi, and Prashant Iyengar was explaining this, that when they say, I can't say the Hindi, something, but it has the word dharana in it. It means, hey, listen intently, listen to what I'm going to say, like pay attention. Yeah. How do you say it? Dhyan. Yeah, that means listen, right? So it starts out with it's just focus, pay attention. All right. So you want to know about formal meditation practices back in the Gurukulas.
Yes, as in, for my understanding so far of these yoga, for example, the physical practice of asana helps to
Asana.
Helps to purify our body in preparation for a prosperous meditation session.
Can be that, yes, definitely.
In order to reflect on these sources of suffering and to illuminate the light within. So I'm wondering, like, what did that look like back then? What is that? Yeah, what's that?
First of all, is I don't know, but what I've heard, but I have listened to Prashant Iyengar talk about the ancient systems of knowledge. Okay, and what I do know is that our yoga, that comes from BKS Iyengar and is coming from the 1930s, from a physical trend that was worldwide. In America and Europe, they were doing bodybuilding. And so the yogis in India, some of them started working with their own body and become very asana centric. So, and then that is something that's accessible to people. That's something that you can teach lay people. What I have heard is that not everybody was a meditator. Okay, so you would have, if you were royalty, like in the Ramayana, right? You can send your child Ram to a yogic school you work under a master like Vasishta. His name was Vasishta, you know, the pose Vasistasana. That's the mentor, that's the yogi mentor of Ram, who is a king and a god, and Krishna all in one. Anyway, so this wasn't for everybody, you know. I mean, we have to realize that we're evolving in a physical culture, you know, it's now 2025, but this started in the 1930s. This physical, you know, interest in health and bodybuilding and weightlifting. So people had to have some sort of affluence, and then more after the war, during, you know, preparation for war, after World War II. So what we experience, even as Iyengar Yoga Clan, right? And we're smaller than what the masses out there call yoga, those classes, right? This is not older than 50 years. This is about 50 years old, because group classes and things didn't start until then. So what I'm trying to say to you is that the yoga of meditation, where you're sitting there and doing this and going, is for monks and yogis who have a lot of time in seclusion. It's not for householders. Well, unless they have a meditative practice. And oftentimes those were Brahmins.
I see. I ask this because I feel like Iyengar's commentary on this is so enlightening that I wonder what his practice look like, and if that included meditation in order to reveal these revelations. that he
Yes,
shares.
yes. He is a real yogi. These are real insights, like for instance, from the brain.
Yeah.
And if you read Light on Yoga and you practice, he will talk about the brain, aspects of the brain in asana, how it affects the brain. And they teach us those things, at least to observe.
So he's like the Kobe.
Who's the Kobe?
Kobe is like the greatest basketball player.
Oh, Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
He's like the top echelon. So he.
Well, we think so.
Yeah.
We think so.
And so our practice of basketball is like not Kobe level, but it's ways to help us have practical application.
Exactly. So, okay, Kobe Bryant is a super talented, super dedicated athlete, right? And he had a family. His daughter also played basketball. Am I right? Okay, so the Guruji Iyengar was a superstar, but he didn't start out that way. He started out really poor and sick. Remember how we talked about that? So he evolved through the practices of the 8 limbs of yoga. And the insights for him, who did not, remember, he didn't graduate high school. They did not have the money for him to take the exams. He was starving. He was sick. He was living with his guru. All he had was asana practice and service. That's it.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
How did he write a book?
Exactly.
Yes. Well, now, okay, he had help with English, but these are his concepts.
But he, like I see the videos, he can speak so well English.
He was very sharp.
Yeah.
He was extremely sharp. Yeah.
But wasn't his asana practice also?
Yes.
Meditation was,
Thank you.
yeah,
So
that was why he
I'm sorry,
he
what?
had such insight, right? Because his asana practice was very good.
he defined yoga. Let's see. Asana is meditation in action. So in meditation, you start with something called alambana. Alambana is a support for the brain, a support for the mind, to quiet the mind. So it could be a mantra, could be an image that you're focusing on, but you need something, some sort of object, could be a sound, something you see. Usually it's sound or sight. So when you're practicing asanas, we give you things to concentrate on, do we not? Those are supposed to be supports for your mind. When we say press the big toe, spread the fingers, Guruji, that was his whole message. You don't have to sit in a temple. You can do asana practice and quieten your mind and be there and watch everything and then balance your brain. And then you'll get into samadhi. So granted, we don't hold our asanas for an hour. But he could do a 20-minute headstand. He could do Parivrttta Dandasana for 30, 45 minutes. He did. And he was in a deep state. Like people talk about him being so quiet that you don't even know he's there. It's like all the energy is sucked inward.
There is an interview of him on Indian television. I think it was aired in the 90s, on Indian national television. I remember him saying that he would hold his Sarvangasana for 30 minutes every day.
Yeah.
You've seen that interview?
I've heard stories about him.
And then he also adds that I think he was in his 80s already, but anyway, 70s or 80s. Yeah, he says, and then nothing disturbs my mind. My mind is very still throughout those 30 minutes. I just remember, I remember seeing that interview.
You're like, really? Like, can you really hold the pose that long and not move your mind? Yeah. So yeah. So that would mean that the breath would have to be how? If somebody was having undisturbed, extremely. And how else would you describe the breath besides steady? So if you can imagine that he's in that state, right, for 30 minutes, undisturbed, probably subtle. Yeah, so not huffing and puffing, not uneven. It's going to be even, it's going to be barely perceptible. Because that has to happen in dhyana and samadhi. There's no, it's going, you have to make everything so efficient, minimal effort to run your heart and your blood pressure. You're so inward that the senses and the nerves are all contributing toward your awareness and not on a sense object, not on doing anything outside, not in any relationship, not on any responsibility, but it's all purified inward. And then from that space, you get insights. Or when you come out of that space, when the mind starts to move again, you start to see things more clearly because we're not clouded by these spoilers.
I find that to be like the magic, right? Have more sustained clarity after a strong yoga practice. And that, yeah, I was just curious like how he was able to sustain that for so long and for like a lifetime. That interview.
If you find it, will you?
I think it is on YouTube,
Yeah, yeah, I'll put it in the portal. That's what I love about these discussions, that you ask such good questions and then we're able to share information and the concepts can sink in a little bit more deeply. Yes, so you should be feeling it, so that means that when you practice asana, right, it shouldn't be about exercise. It shouldn't be about losing weight. It shouldn't be about having a beautiful svelte body. It shouldn't even, I say it shouldn't be about health, but I want to qualify that and say, we know that Guruji did use yoga for health. If you can remember, he had malaria and typhoid and tuberculosis and all those things. He was sickly. And they couldn't afford any doctors. So he went to his brother-in-law, who was Krishnamacharya, who was the greatest guru in the 20th century of India. And he said, you'll have to do yoga if you want to heal yourself. And he did. His guru taught him some things, but most of it was his own practice. And he only studied under his guru directly for a year. So that is how, and he had nothing else, no education, nothing to sell, no skills. So he had to make a living this way. So he had to use yoga for health, to be able to have healthy lungs, to be able to get rid of to strengthen his immunity. Yeah, and he only grew to 4'10". Yeah, he was only 4'10". Yeah, but you won't know that by looking at the pictures.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, in videos
Now,
also he.
or maybe he shrunk to that. I think he says he was 5 feet in one of the biographies, but he's a little person, little
Because the
malnourished.
guy I showed you the picture,
Yeah.
he is very little person.
Yeah.
And he just do Sarvangasana now because he went Europe and everywhere to teach yoga, but now only he does his Sarvangasana, that's it. But he was so tiny.
Is this the author of Shivananda Companion to Yoga? Or is it, okay. All right. Okay. Where were we now? Oh, purpose of asana. Yeah, 228. Okay, yoga anga anushthanara shidhikshaye jnanadiptera viveka kyate. All right, innocent and free of pride. Is that where we finished?
Okay.
Whose turn is it? Brandy? Here.
I also need glasses and I haven't started traveling with them yet, so I'll be doing that
Okay.
after this. Here, instead of the usual
Word.
uh,
Abhyasa.
abhyasa, repeated practice,
Anushtana.
anoshtana, is used. It is a dignified and noble word with a spiritual import, implying practice with dedication and religious fervor.
Fervor.
The former beings
brings stability.
brings stability. The latter develops maturity of intelligence.
Okay, so what brings stability? Somebody tell me. And what does what brings maturity of intelligence? Anushtana. Anushtana.
So what is Anushtana? Like in this sense, what it means?
Dedicated practice, devoted, ritualistic. You know, like if you say the invocation and you do an asana practice, that's a ritualized, dedicated practice. If you sit, if you have puja, if you do prayers, if you have certain blessings that you say before you eat, that is also a form of dedicated practice. But it's not once in a while, it's over a long period of time. And it's part of your religion and part of your culture. It's deep. Okay. So that's a technicality, and Prashant Iyengar is going to argue with his dad. And Prashant just last year came out with his own commentaries on the Yoga Sutras in 3 volumes. Okay, and it's not as clean as this, but he's going to have long commentary. Yeah, so just so you know that, Prashant Iyengar, the son of BKS Iyengar, has also written a commentary on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It comes in, it's 3 books. You can get it from Einaus. But he says that Anushtana is about, okay, here it is. Prashant Iyengar emphasizes that Anushtana works as an ousting agent, expelling agent, mitigating agent, reforming agent, improving agent, preserving agent, augmenting agent, correcting agent, and more. And all these agencies are carried out until pristine and immaculate conditions are achieved, starting from soiled and sullied conditions. So if you are a dedicated practitioner, you have Anushtana, then you might be a sullied person. You might be a criminal. You might be a depressed person. You might be a very unhappy person. You might be a violent person, sullied conditions, very egotistical person. Any of those persons, through this process of Anushtana, this process of expelling, ousting, getting rid of bad habits, killing these, destroying these kleshas, that this Anushtana will lead to the highest achievement. That's what it's saying. And that's called Viveka Khyati, discriminative discernment. Thank you for suppressing your yawn. So discriminative discernment is being able to tell the difference between the true self and the ego or the temporary self. Okay, is that enough? Enough philosophy for tonight? Any questions? Yeah, you should write down your questions. Sometimes if you write down your question and you send it to me, it gives me something really wonderful to think about, and then I can build a whole class around it. I love it when you ask me your questions about philosophy. Okay? All right, so I'm going to stop the recording and then give you a bathroom break, and then we'll put so if there are no other questions. Was there anything burning? Poor Pooja, she just
No, I'm just like, sorry.
just got off the plane. All right.
India.
Oh my
So I'm
goodness.
sleeping at 7, 8 o'clock and getting up at 1:30 in the night.
Oh. And you're here.
Dedicated.
That is dedication.
You did well being able to sit there for an hour. It's a long time to sit. Yeah. How often can you sit in an asana for an hour? Okay. All right, Pooja. Okay, get dressed. So do you have shorts or something? Tights? You think you're going to practice in those pants? Okay, tonight. Okay, but Pooja, I really need you to wear shorts or tights.
Okay.
Because I want to see your knees, your kneecaps, inner and outer knees, inner and outer ankles.
Okay. I will.
And I see you've got some swelling in your ankles. I want you to lie down with your legs up the wall right now. Yeah. We've already done the invocations, so I get, yes. Remind me to start the recording again, okay? I gotta just close it. Door. All right. Yeah, you can all. No. But just avoid the plug. So somebody can be here. Actually, you know what? Do all go over there. Six. That's five. It means you have to be in the middle of a panel. Yeah. Not with the cracks in the center. Look, there are 6 panels. What does that tell you? Use your intelligence. You each get a panel. So this is one person's panel. That's you. Put your thing in the middle. Or there's 7, huh? Are there 7 of you? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. That's fine. Okay, so first asana is Adho Mukha Vir. Oh, wait, no, don't let me start yet. Okay, you got another minute. Okay. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. I just don't want it hurt.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, I'm just gonna leave the camera. Oh, yeah. Somebody help me get a good, okay, I got everybody in. Okay, now I'm gonna start. I think we're good. Adho Mukha Virasana. Adho Mukha Virasana. Downward facing hero. Okay, so today's lesson is we're going to be doing twists. So we're just getting ready. Move the inner groins back and plug the legs into the hip sockets and try to get the buttocks to go down. Yeah. Okay, so you might need to raise your hands. Get the buttocks to go down. Pooja, can you put your head and arms. I'm gonna get you also a block for your head. It's not the most comfortable, or I'll get you this. Okay, the back has to go down. The sides of the waist need to lengthen. Here, rest your head. That's it. Yes, spread your fingers. Now, become breath aware and find out, what is the breath doing? How does it improve the asana? How are you using the breath? Sophia, take your knees more apart and big toes together. Knees apart and big toes together so that your trunk goes further forward. That's it. Now, all of you cut the outer ankles in. It's another body aspect. And then again, now go to the breath. Now start firming the triceps into the bone, because you're going to take weight into your hands for Adho Mukha Svanasana. And when you're ready, come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And Pooja, you can put your hands on bricks at the wall. Okay? Sophia, take your jacket off, please. I'll get you warm very soon. Okay, get the knees straight, arms straight, heels down, knees back, thighs back, front of the thighs lift up, back of the thighs lift up. Now smooth breath. Find out how are you using the breath, and how is the breath affected by the asana. So breath as instrument, breath as object being affected. Okay, now come up, step forward, come up, and go to Prasarita Padottanasana. So turn to the side and do Prasarita Padottanasana. You can use blocks for the hands if you need, but I think all of you can do this. Go ahead, go in. The first stage, concave spine. All right, so be in the legs, press the outer edges of the feet down and lift the inner legs up, and then roll the fronts of the thighs in, inner thighs back, and now roll the upper arms inside out and pull the trunk through the arms. Pull the chest forward, lift the chin, lift the eyebrows, and ultimately get the upper back in. Get the upper back in, dig the upper back in. Look up, look up. Come on, stretch the spine. Get the back ribs in. Okay, now keeping that length in the front of the spine, bend the elbows, walk the hands back, and let the crown of the head come to the floor or wherever it's going to go. So if you're unable to bend your arms, then your arms will be straight, but you're releasing the trunk down and keeping the legs really strong. So continue all of the leg actions. So remember, we said that asana is meditation in action. Yoga is meditation in action. Asana is meditation in action. So focus on the leg actions. Lift the inner legs, roll the fronts of the thighs, walk the hands more backward. Now, how will you use your hands to bring your trunk in? And if you need to, you go back to the spine parallel position if you need to. Okay, now draw the outer upper arms toward the elbows, inner upper arms to the armpits, and lift the shoulders off the neck. Move the outer upper arms from the shoulders to the elbows, inner arms to the armpits, and lift the shoulder blades off the neck. Okay, now observe the breath. Inhale and come up. Okay, now Shirshasana. If you're not doing Shirshasana, you can sit in the wall in Baddha Konasana. Oh, headstand. Right. Have you been taught this yet? Okay, good. Okay, so you can just put your, I would like you to put your mat near the wall. Actually, no, we're gonna do it on this end. So have you ever, yeah, I'm gonna be your wall, okay? Is that all right? So have a blanket here. The white one? Okay, now fold your mat over the blanket so you have a kind of a tacky surface for your forearms. Just meet it, just here. That's it. Okay, and then interlace your fingers. Let me see how you interlace your fingers. Siri, you can go up whenever you're ready, or you can wait for me. If you want me to be your wall, then wait for me, okay? Yep, like this. So you don't want to make a square here. So it's kind of round. All right, and then the edge of the hand, you have to press down. Okay, let's see. So place your knuckles down, get the elbows no wider than your shoulders. Okay, great. All right, now tuck the chin a little more. Tuck the chin a little more. Yep, and put your back of the head all the way to the hands. Great. Now press the inner elbows, lift the shoulders, walk in, kick a leg straight, straight up. There you go. Press into the forearms, lift the shoulders, lift the legs. So you're pushing that way. Don't push the feet forward. There we go. Wonderful. Roll the fronts of the thighs in and press the thigh bones back. Excellent. Now spread the soles of the feet. All right, now I'm going to leave you. When you are no longer steady, you come down and you can go to the wall. Do you need my help? Okay, all right. Continue to stretch the legs and roll the fronts of the thighs in. And the pressure should be on the inner edge of the elbows. And lift the shoulder blades. Very good. Keeping the legs and arms working, the trunk will stretch and balance. As you roll the fronts of the thighs in, grip the outer hips in and lift them straight up. Outer hips straight up. Make the spine light. Bring lightness to the asana. Sometimes we belt the outer hips to bring the femur heads in. You have to have that firmness in the outer hips and then lift the outer hips strongly up so much that your back feels light. Now, can you observe the breath? How you're using the breath. You might be using your breath to lift the hips. You might be using your breath to roll the legs in. Find out how you're using the breath as a tool. Or if you're sitting in Baddha Konasana, you may be using the breath to turn the legs out. Very good. You can rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. And then find out how is the asana affecting the breath. So you have leg actions, you have arm actions. What happens to the breath when you perform those actions? So this is another aspect of dharana, concentration. Siri, you're a little bit on your forehead instead of the crown of the, yep. So you have to bring your nose a little bit more toward the chest. We're just going to be up one more minute, so you don't have to go up if you're finished. Now, before you go up, tuck the chin a little bit more, just a little more. Let's see if I can. Yeah, that's good. I'll be here just in case. Yeah, while you're getting your bearings on your head position. Okay, now buttocks in, thighs, yes. And lift the shoulders. Spread the soles of the feet to the outer foot. That's it. And then buttocks forward and abdomen back. Okay, all of you come down and rest in Adho Mukha Virasana. Uttanasana. So ladies in periods only Ardha Uttanasana. Feet apart. All right, now lift the inner ankle bones, lift the inner legs, roll the fronts of the thighs in, spread the backs of the thighs out, and really be very firm in the legs. Nice, Siri, very good, all of you. Inhale and come up. All right, get a blanket and a strap for Dandasana. Okay. All right, so join the legs. Bring the inner edges of the feet together and suck the outer ankle bones in. Bring the hands by the sides of the trunk with your fingers as cup shape. Now bring the quadriceps to the hips. So all this does is we're trying to connect the legs to the trunk. So pull the femurs to the hip sockets. So that means the front of the thigh has to go this way, but you also need to press your legs down. Okay, now extend the inner ankle, inner arch of the foot and pull the outer foot toward the hip. Pull the small toe side of the foot toward your hip. And spread the toes. Not so easy, right? Keep pressing the legs down. Take the arms up. Arms down, Dandasana. Arms up, Urdhva Hasta Dandasana. Arms up, arms down, Dandasana. So move the dorsal spine in. So Dandasana is a back bend, a backward extension with the upper chest. It's a forward extension with the hips. So hip flexion, dorsal extension. Arms up, arms down, arms up, arms down. Now watch what kind of breath you're using. Arms up, arms down. How many of you went up on an inhalation? How many went up on an exhalation? Okay, we do the opposite. Exhale up, inhale down. Let's do it together. Exhale up, inhale down. Exhale, inhale, stop. Okay, so that was a way. You can do it that way. Now we're going to do it inhale up. Ready? Exhale, inhale up, exhale down. Smoother, inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Okay, pause. Take the belt on your feet. And widen the legs. So, does this make it easier to bring the outer foot toward the hip socket? Okay. Now, I want you to notice what happens to the calves when you bring the outer feet toward the hip sockets. Can you look at your own calves? And so let go, relax, and then pull the outer feet toward the hip sockets by pulling the strap. What's happening? Can anybody describe? Okay, the calves might be lengthening. okay? Here's what I want you to notice is that, well, the outer calves are sucking in. Okay, so you're activating. You see how that's happening? Okay, and it's not just here, but it goes all the way here. Can you see that? And that moves the femur heads in the socket, and then you connect to the spine. So get that whole chain from the outer feet. Get that whole chain reaction. Outer feet toward the outer ankles, outer shins and calves in, outer knees ligaments in, outer thighs in, and narrow hips. Narrow hips. Is your butt burning yet on the sides? That's the right action. Okay, release. Let go. Put your legs together. We'll do Parivrttta, no, Parshva. Take the arms to Urdhva Hasta Dandasana and turn to your right. So take the right arm behind you, have the left arm braced on the outer right leg. Now, you have to have all the Dandasana actions. So outer feet toward the hips, top thigh down, narrow the hips, narrow, suck the outer hips in and lift the spine. Did you feel it go up? And then turn and lift the lumbar spine, lift the thoracic spine and get the dorsal spine in. Exhale, let go, release. I hope you felt all those things. Okay, arms up. Suck the outer hips in, and it has to start with the feet. Turn to the left. Take your left arm behind you, take your right arm to the outside of the left knee. Okay, now go back to the feet. Pull the outer feet to the hips, narrow the outer buttocks, narrow, so the lower spine goes up. Breathe. Walk that left hand farther back if you can. Now dorsal spine in and spread the left collarbone to the left. And then pull the right chest, the right breast forward. Breathe. So far the breath is enabling the actions, but now you can stay and pay attention to the breath. So the mind is for the breath, the body is for the breath. Now with your next exhalation, turn forward. One more time. This is called Parshva Dandasana. Say Parshva. Dandasana. Urdhva Hasta Dandasana. Turn to the right. Bring your arms down. Now, once you place your arms, go back to the base, which is the legs. Spread the toes, pull the femurs to the hips, and then there's a narrowing action, so the lower spine goes up. I don't know if you'll get that. If not today, maybe some other time. Lift the chest. Roll the right shoulder back. Now, lift the bottom sternum to the top sternum and keep sucking in the back, and then turn the head to look over the left shoulder. Now just observe, do you have your shoulders perpendicular to your hips? It's not so easy to achieve. You have to suck the back in and roll the right shoulder strongly back. And then let go of the head and let go of the twist. What's this posture, this asana called? Okay, Urdhva Hasta Dandasana. Turn to the left, take the left arm behind you. You can grab your blanket, you can push the wall. You can use the wall, the blanket, or a block as a prop. Now suck the outer ankles in, outer calves in, outer hips narrow, and lift the lower spine, lift the middle spine, lift the upper spine. Use the breath to turn, exhale. Or sometimes you can also try exhale and then turn during the pause. Inhale, exhale, turn. Inhale, exhale. Now just stay and stabilize the breath. So you'll have to let go of some intensity to stabilize the breath. All right, now we're turning the head. Lifting the sternum and turning the head. Move the back in, shoulder blades way down, spine way up. And then release the head, release the twist. Very good. Parivrttta, Trikonasana. Stand up. Move your blankets to the trestle. under the trestle. Unless anybody, actually you can use, no, okay, never mind. You can put the blankets under the trestle. Okay, and when I'm not demonstrating, I'm going to put the camera back over here. How do I get you all? Like that. Okay, so now put your left foot near the wall. Put the straps away. You don't have to put them in the closet. You can just put them over here. Okay, put your left foot near the wall. So it could be an inch or two away from the wall. Then step your other foot 4 feet out or 3.5 feet out. So get your heel close to the wall to use the wall. We're using the wall as a prop. And then turn the left foot deeply in and get it against the wall. Turn it way in. And turn the right leg all the way out. All the way out. And face the other wall. Yes, so you'll have to turn that foot more like this. Yeah. Okay. Press the inner edge of that right foot. So this is Parivrttta so far. Lift the front of the chest. All right, now take your left arm out. You have to turn the chest. And in order to turn the chest, you also have to turn the hips. So to turn the hips, you have to work with the feet. So press the outer edge of the back foot, inner edge of the front foot, get that outer ankle in, outer calf in, outer thigh in, outer hip in, and then take your left arm and swing it to the outside of your right foot on the floor or on the inside. Parivrttta Trikonasana. Do you just do Parivrttta with blocks? Okay, now go back to the feet because you changed your arm position. Put your hand down. Yep. Suck your femurs to the hips. Make the hips narrow like you did in Parivrttta, and then press into the floor with your left hand and turn the left shoulder blade, turn the chest, turn the right shoulder blade straight up to the ceiling. Put your hand on your hip. Suck the left side of the back in. Suck the left shoulder blade way in and take the right outer upper arm back. Now keep that and then use your breath to raise the top arm. Beautiful, truly. So if your chest has not turned adequately, then you keep your hand on your hip, okay? All right, now to come out of the pose, be in the legs, inhale, raise your trunk and your arms and turn to the left. Inhale and come up, turn the feet and step the legs to Tadasana. Okay, so this is your first Parivrttta Trikonasana. This is going to be our star pose. We're going to do this pose over and over and over tonight. Turn the other way. So I want you to really pay attention, dhyan, to this first Trikonasana because it's going to be so different by the end of the class. Okay, now take your feet 4 feet apart, turn the right toes deeply in, left leg all the way out, and then immenses, you're doing Parivrttta. Otherwise, take the right arm. So stabilize the outer legs in, make the hips narrow, and then swing. Swing your right arm to the outside and go. Place the hand down. Okay, now don't lose the stability of the front foot. Get the inner edge of that front foot down, outer ankle strongly in, outer calf in, outer hip in, and then lengthen your spine forward, and then press into that right arm and turn the chest to the left. Move your left shoulder up to the ceiling and your right shoulder blade down, right sideways down, left hip higher, Brandy, left hip higher in this pose. That's it. And you've got to figure out, should you turn on the exhalation or should you exhale and then turn? Now take your chin away from your hip. Pull your chin toward the crown of the head and then use your breath. If your left shoulder is up to the ceiling, use your breath and raise the left arm. Breathe. And then use your breath. Usually we say inhale and come up. Press into the legs, inhale and come up. Good, and then step your feet to Tadasana. Okay, get your belt. And lie down for Supta Tadasana, Supta Padangustasana number 3. Parivrttta, Supta Padangustasana. Brenna, come over here. You're going to do Supta 2. You can have a bolster. Okay, so lie down on your back. Make a loop with your belt. Where's the best place for this? Maybe over here now. Okay, lie down with your feet at the wall in Dandasana. Do you have your loop? How big should it be? And let's make it about like this. Smaller than the shoulder stand width. A little bit smaller than that. Maybe half of that, of the shoulder stand size. Okay, now roll your thighs in and press the thighs down. Take your arms to the sides for Supta Tadasana first. So join the big toes. Join, heels apart. Okay, now we were working in Dandasana on pulling the outer edges of the feet toward the hips. Can you do that here? Can you stretch the inner heels and the inner feet to the wall and then spread your toes and actively pull the outer foot toward the outer ankle and then continue that whole chain from the outer ankle to the outer knee, outer hip. Very good. Now keep the left leg in its place and then bend the right knee and put the loop on the right foot and hold it first with your right hand. Yes. You can put the hand inside the loop, okay? Inside. So we're doing number 1 first. So you have to be able to straighten the leg. So make the loop long enough so that you can straighten the leg. Take the leg straight up. Number 1. Okay, now roll the left leg in and cut that outer ankle in again. Can you get the actions of the first concentration point of the left leg, of the legs on the left leg? You have to get it on both legs. Great. Now, move the outer right buttock and hip toward the left foot. Yes, so what tends to happen here is that we lift the right hip socket to try to save the hamstring, and then we shorten the back. So we don't want the hip to shorten the back. So move your right thigh away from your waist, move the outer right buttock toward the left heel, and feel, does that bring some length to the right side of the waist? So one of the key things about asana practice that Guruji insisted on was that you study the evenness of the body. Okay, now change the hands and take your left hand to hold the belt and put your right hand by the side on the floor. Okay. All right, now slowly, keeping that right leg straight, left leg straight, you can let your left foot turn out, but don't let the small toe touch the floor as you bring the right leg to the left. Yeah, bring it parallel to the floor. Yes, now be with the left leg. Yes, and reach the inner leg to the wall. So turn your left foot a little more, Sophia. Turn your left foot, Puja, turn. That left foot, the one that is at the wall, you can turn to the left. Turn. So the inner thigh should face the ceiling. Yes, now try to get your right leg parallel to the floor. You're going to lose your strap because it's not on the metatarsals, Puja. Okay, now, again, bring the right hip toward the wall. Yes, does that change the asana? Did it change the breath? And now, get your left side trunk flat and your right side trunk flat. So how can you bring that right shoulder blade down? Turn, turning from the outside in. So we're starting with your extremities, your arms and your legs, and now we're reaching the inside. Come up, inhale and come up. Okay, bend the knee and take the leg back to Tadasana. Supta Tadasana. Observe what just happened in your body. Feel the flow of energy, feel the circulation. Feel the nerve fibers. The other side. Start in the first position with the leg 90 degrees up, unless you're menstruating. So I should have established both of your Tadasana legs, Supta Tadasana legs at the wall, but I didn't. So take your left leg back to the wall, join the big toes, cut the outer ankles in, cut the outer calves, outer shins, outer thighs, and make the hips narrow. I should see an indent. Very nice, Sophia. I can see it. Now, keep the right leg as it is and bring the left leg up. Many of you are looking like your concentration is happening. Okay, spread the toes. Now, don't lose the actions of the right leg. You have to keep that stable. Otherwise, it's called backsliding. Anavasti Tatvana. It's one of the obstacles. Good. Okay, now move the outer left hip toward the wall to lengthen the left side of the waist, which we tend to shorten because we have an aversion of the hamstring pain. But if you just breathe through the discomfort, it should dissipate. And if it doesn't, then you have to change something. Okay, now hold the strap in the right hand and get ready. You're going to let your foot turn almost to the floor, but don't let the small toe touch. Get the inner thigh toward the ceiling as you take your left leg to the right. Roll onto the right hip. Come on, roll on. Yes. Now resist the right foot into the wall. Pull the left leg into the hip socket. Sorry, the right leg, the bottom leg. And then try to keep your foot in line to your hip. So bring it a little bit closer to your head if you can. Now, right knee has to be tight, the bottom leg. I'm also going to tell you that from the inner left groin, you have to lift up into the bone to give your pubic area some room. I'll say that again. From the inner left groin, lift the inner thigh to the bone to give more room in the pelvis. And now turn the chest to the left. Turn, turn. And now you feel the insides. Get the left chest down to the floor. Turn, turn. And inhale and come up. So you're tilting. Can you feel that? That the right hip is way up? Okay, so we're gonna come up now. Bend your knees, roll to the side and come up. And we're doing again Parivrttta Trikonasana. So you could do Ardha Chandrasana. You can just stay there. You can use you can use not the trestle, but you could use the wall or that wall. Okay, Parivrttta Trikonasana. Just go into so I want you to take yourself, or stand with the feet apart, then turn the feet. Okay, and now take the arms out to the sides and then swing the arms and go. Stabilize the legs and go. Right. I'm just not giving you very much room, am I? Okay, now, how are you using the breath? Are you using it to stabilize your legs? Are you using it to turn? Now lengthen the spine toward the middle of the room and now turn. Get your left back ribs to suck into the body and then raise that right shoulder as high as you can. Raise the arm if you can. Yes. And now be in the posture and find out, did that Supta Padangusthasana, how did it help your Parivrttta Trikonasana? Pull the right outer hip toward the wall behind you and suck it into the body. Right hip in, yes. And turn more. Okay, now use your breath to come out of the asana. Be in the legs and then come out. Okay, very good. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Oh no, yeah. And then the other side, right? We only did one side. Yeah, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, can you grip the outer hips in? So you have to lift the inner legs and grip the outer hips in. Step forward, Uttanasana. Come up, Parivrttta Trikonasana on the left. So you can either do Parshvottanasana or Trikonasana or Ardha Chandrasana. Yes, right. Okay, so stabilize your feet and ankles and legs. I would turn the back foot in more, Belita. Yeah, that's it. Get your hips square. Yeah, hips have to be square for this one. And then use your breath and go. Take the right hand to the outside of the left foot. Once you've changed the arm position, you have to go back to the feet. So lift the arch of the right foot. Yes, press that outer foot. And press the inner edge of the left foot and pull the legs to the hips. Now make the outer hips narrow and then shoot your spine toward the head and your chin away from your chest. And then keeping that spine long, now use your breath, exhale and turn. Turn and turn, get the shoulder in and then raise the top arm. That's it. Now imagine that someone is spreading your left collarbone up to your left fingertips and pushing the right side of the back down. Breathe. Do the posture for the breath, and then inhale and come up. Okay. All right, now we're doing Parivrttta. You're gonna need a blanket, Parivrttta. So did you notice a difference between your first Parivrttta Trikonasana and the second? So there's a direct relationship between Parivrttta Supta Padangustasana and Parivrttta Trikonasana. Hope you understand that. Okay, now we're using the wall as a prop for Parivrttta. You'll take your legs to your left and you'll support your right buttock. Yeah, me, I guess. Yeah. Bring it right here. Just right in front. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, we'll go back a little bit. I've been told that people want to see me on the video, so I understand that. I like to look at my teacher too. Okay, now get your knees to go down and you might need more height. So Pooja, you need to fold your blanket. Let me see what you've got. You need another. Yeah, that's it. Okay, quickly. Now just check to see if you can take your right arm to the wall and bend the elbow. Yeah, bend it. And you should be able to walk it behind you. Okay, now turn the hand this way. Yeah, go ahead. All right, so in Parivrttta, you're going pull the inner thighs to the hips, especially your left one. And what does that do? Makes the back go up, doesn't it? Because if you don't, right? So it plugs the legs into the spine and helps you lift the spine. Okay, so now take your left hand to your right knee, take your right arm behind you, and now you have to stay on your vertical axis. So don't lean to the wall, don't lean toward the legs. All right, but you need to be active. Pull your legs back to the hips and then narrow the outer hips and lift the spine and turn. Turn. Now, can you get your back ribs in? Walk the right hand as far back as you can. Yes, and then suck the outer right ribs toward the spine. Yeah. Now be with those sensations because this is an intense way to practice. And breathe. 3-4 cycles of breath. Observe where this is hitting you. What part are you accessing through the wall and your hand? Okay, now release. Let's go to the other side. And don't overdo. Dan from Thursday's class, he said that his inner shoulder blade, was sore. Were you sore at all? No, no. Okay, all right, so now we're pulling the legs to the hips and pressing down with the feet, ankles, and shins. So you have to get the knee on the floor. Get your knee, come sit forward and just support your left buttock. Yeah, that's it. So it's an uneven asana. All right, so we know your right hip is higher, my left is higher. So we want to drive that down. So it also helps to pull that inner thigh into the hip. Okay, now take your right hand to your left leg and your left arm behind and be on your axis. So be even on your knees, your shins, your ankles, and then lift, move the outer hips in, make them narrow so the lower spine lifts. And use the breath to turn, to lift and turn. So I suggest inhaling as you lift, and then exhaling and turning, or exhale and turn on the pause. Now shoulder blades down and dig the back ribs in. And then move the left ribs away from the wall and toward the spine. Breathe and observe where this pose, what you're able to touch inside of your body with your awareness. And then exhale and release. Okay, now do Parivrttta Trikonasana again. You don't have to use the wall for support. You can do it freestanding, but you have to be stable in the pose. So make sure your legs are wide enough apart and then turn the feet. Okay, press into the feet. Let's all go together. And then exhale and go. Yes, now I'll give you a clue. Put your right hand on your hip, and if your hand is on the outside of the left foot, you have to jam your forearm bone against your shin bone. Jam it. So yes, make a kind of a pressure point. And sometimes if you bend the elbow slightly, you get more of that jamming sensation, or that point of pressure. Okay, now outer hips in. Turn, turn, turn. Lengthen the spine and turn. Turn, roll the right shoulder back, and then when you're ready, raise that right arm. Breathe. Okay, now, how is this similar to Parivrttta? Do you have more access in the abdomen? Is it in the back? Is it in the shoulder blades? And then inhale and come up. Very nice. The other side. So if you're tired of that, of course, you have to do Parivrttta again, but you have other options. Okay, turn the feet. And begin. Always stabilizing the base, right? And then the hips. When you get your hands down, you go back to the base. Put your left hand on your waist. Yes, now here's another technique. So I said already, jam the wrist against the shin bone for leverage, but also lift the left hip higher and let the right sacrum go down. Let it go down. Turn from the very lower back, and then turn the middle back, turn the upper back, and now roll the right shoulder way back, way up. That's it. Get the right shoulder blade in, get the dorsal spine in, and then raise the top arm. That's it. Now, can you keep a steady and smooth breath? And Brenna, that looks fine. Right hip has to be a little higher. You're overdoing on your left. And now this one in. Yep. Okay, inhale and come up. Be in the legs. Don't lose your awareness of your feet, your knees, and your hips. Okay, Tadasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So you're allowed to take support for your hands at the wall. You're allowed to put your heels on the wall. You're doing Adho Mukha Svanasana per your needs as a recovery asana. Draw the thighs to the hips. Lift the hips as high as you can. Very good, Puja. Lift the shoulders off of the arms. You're all doing so nicely. Try to get the heels down. Toes in and heels wider. And lift the inner arches, inner ankle bones. Okay, come up. Parivrttta Parshvakonasana. Parivrttta Parshvakonasana. So take your left, so you'll do Utthita Parshvakonasana. Take your left foot near the wall. Right leg wide. Turn the right leg to face the center, revolve like you would for Virabhadrasana 1. Okay, now bend the right knee and then take the left arm up. All right, and then raise your left heel and put it against the wall, and then keeping your chest up, reach to your left, reach, get the shoulder across the leg, and then put the arm, catch the upper arm against the mid thigh and put your fingers on the floor if you can. You can press your heel to the wall. Now lower your hips. Lower the hips and then arch the upper back. Suck the back ribs in. Lift the right shoulder and then raise the right arm. Just straight up. Okay. Now we're coming out. So reach back with your right arm, be in the legs, unwind, and then put your heel down and come up. Okay, so I'm just checking this out. See how you're doing. Step the legs to Tadasana. Turn around. The other side. Take the feet 4 feet apart. Turn your right leg in and anchor it against the wall. Anchor your heel. Turn the left leg out. Revolve the pelvis to face the opposite wall. Now bend the left leg. Bring the root of the femur down and lift the right heel. Lift it up. That's it. And bring the hips way down. Put your left hand on your thigh. That's it. And then raise the right arm up. Now don't lie down on your leg, but keep your chest up and reach to the right, your left, and then hook your outer arm and put the hand on the floor. Get your outer arm as back as far to the hip as you can. Now, move the back leg forward and the hips down and then turn. Turn and lengthen the sternum for the head. And then if you can, you take the left arm straight up. Now get the back ribs in. Turn more. Take your arm behind you. Keep your right knee straight. Right back ribs down to the floor, hips down. All right, now reach back with your left arm, face forward. Come up, put your heel down and turn. And then bring the legs together. So I know that asana can seem just like pure torture, but did anybody feel joyful doing that? Okay. Okay, maybe later. All right, that's a very good observation. So then we could consider that an austerity, something that we're doing for benefit. Okay, now take your left leg to the wall or just do Parivrttta Trikonasana. You're going back. I'm not instructing. So you could do Ardha Chandrasana again. You can do Trikonasana. Yeah. So I did not, hang on, I didn't have you take your arm over the ear because many times that makes the back go like this and we're trying to get the back to iron out. Okay, so go ahead. So yeah, the arms, it's this position. So after you've turned, yeah, use your breath, beautiful. Squeeze the outer hips in and then raise the top arm. Now be with the left back ribs. That's it. What's happening? You need a block? Okay. Yeah, I don't want you to rip anything, okay? Better? All right. Now when you're ready, just come out. All right. Good. All right, now lie on the floor and do Supta Padangusthasana again. Oh, the other side, sorry. So left leg forward, right leg back, stabilize the feet, and then turn and put your right hand down and left hand on the waist or the hip. Now go back to the feet, suck the outer ankles in. Pull the femurs to the hips, narrow the hips, and then turn, 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 and lift the left shoulder blade shoulder up from the collarbone to the corner. And then once you get that vertical alignment, raise the left arm and draw the right side of the back toward the floor and the left side of the back toward the ceiling. And breathe. If it irritates your breathing to take the arm up, you can keep it down. Good, Brenna. Keep your outer left ankle strongly in. And inhale, everyone, and come up. Actually, you were. It's just the foot was just a little turned. It was fine. It was fine. Okay, now lie down. Supta Padangusthasana 3 again. You can sit in Upavishta Konasana. Okay, so I'm not going to lead you through this. Start in Supta Tadasana. Get the leg actions imprinted so that it becomes a samskara, which is a deep subliminal impression. The legs should know what to do. So outer ankles in and thighs down, and roll the front thighs in. And then take the right leg into the belt for the first action. And you can also turn to the right and turn to the left. Okay, now take the belt in the left hand, stabilize your left leg, and take your right leg over to the left side. Okay, now wait, actually, before you do that, now observe the back. All right, and then, yeah, go ahead and you're turning the hips, but now the waist has to turn in the opposite direction. So take the belt in your left hand. Yeah, bring the right leg over to the left. Press the right arm down, press it down. Yes, and keep the shoulder blade reaching to the floor. So turn your chest to the right. That's it. Now get fully on the outer edge of the left hip. Get fully, roll onto that blade of the left hip. Right, and then press the inner thigh down. That outer left hip you have to press down to create space in the pelvis. Yes, and now head in the center. This is very, very nice. Inhale and come up. Okay, other side. So are we starting to feel this on the inside? The gut, the pelvic organs, the spine. Straighten the top leg first, straighten the bottom leg. So you get that first position and pull the outer hip down to get to even out the sides of the waist, and then change the, so I still see that this needs to go here. Is that okay? All right. Yes, you see how that changes the feeling in the spine? Okay, now take the belt in the right hand and then start to roll onto that right hip, but left hand has to press. Yes, and for you, Pooja, a bent elbow is better, so you can rest the arm on the floor. The rest of you, try to get your arms straight. That's it, and press here. Excellent. Now breathe. Yes, and put right here. Spread the toes. Bring the intelligence all the way to the small toe. Breathe. Yes, so from the outer left hip, lengthen to the outer foot. And then suck the right leg into the hip socket. You feel how your firm hips are helping you to lengthen and turn your spine? I hope you can feel that. Inhale and come up. Straight leg. Then bend the knee. Okay, now. Were you able to keep your shoulders down?
This side, yes.
It was better. Okay, now do again Parivrttta Trikonasana. You can do Utthita Parsvahasta Padangusthasana. Sure. Sure. Your knee is bothering? How could you let that happen? So that is ego, because you did something, you followed my instructions even when they were harming you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so sometimes you want to fit in. So what I want you to do is absolutely pay attention to when you're hurting, and I will give you an alternative. Would this be okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so everybody has ego. I'm not picking, I don't mean to pick on you. I have ego like crazy. Okay, go ahead. You can do that, or you could do Parshvottanasana. Like, will this irritate your knee? Okay, and if it does, you let me know, okay? All right, now, what did you get from your last Parivrttta Sukta Padangusthasana? And can you imagine your right shoulder needs to go on the floor. So you have to turn that right shoulder back more. Yes, yes, yes. Get your back flat, suck the back ribs in. Yes, and then inhale and come out. Is that okay, Brandy? Okay, all right. Take the other side. So you put your left foot forward and your right foot back, that's it. Okay, so if you're doing Utthita Parshvahasta Padangusthasana, you have to support the heel and you should have a belt, okay? And don't hurt yourself. If something feels like punishment or it feels like pain, you shouldn't do it. Okay, now lengthen the front of the spine forward and then press on that bottom arm. And now imagine you're on the floor. You have to get your left shoulder. It has to stay on the floor while your hips twist. Only this time we're stabilizing the hips and we're turning the shoulders. This is very good. Well, everybody. Okay, now. So this is the left side of your back. Yes, how is that? Okay. I'm letting go with my hands, but not my leg.
Okay.
All right, yes, go for it. Okay, and then inhale and come up. Good. Okay. So lots of twisting. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Oh, she was already there. No, Brandy, you have to watch it. This doesn't irritate, right? Excellent. Okay. So now both sides of the waist should be even, hips back, outer hips in, and roll the front thighs in. And then step forward for Uttanasana. Okay, now face the center. You're doing Ardha Uttanasana. Everybody else face forward, face this way, face away from the wall. All right, so we're doing Uttanasana with the legs apart. And I want you to bend your knees like this. And then see if you can take your hands back and keep the abdomen connected. It has to go down the legs, okay? Try that. Bend. Okay. Okay, so the rest of you, bend your knees and until your abdomen touches your thighs. Can you get your abdomen to bend your knees? Will the abdomen touch? Yes, like that. And then walk your fingers back. And then slowly pull the thigh bones up without damaging yourself as far as they will voluntarily go. Yes. And now bend the knees again. So 6 times. Down and up. That's it. Slowly. You have to find out where's the point where the abdomen leaves the thighs and then go again. So don't hold it too long. Move, bend, and slowly straighten. Yes, yes. Okay, and then when that's finished, then stand up. And we'll be doing Marichyasana 3. So have a blanket to sit on. or it could be a bolster or 3 blankets. And then you can do the twisting version, not the forward bend, because that's too much for the abdomen. Okay, so we're bending the right leg. I can. Brandy, I'm sorry if I was really intense. I got fired up because I don't want you to hurt yourself, and yeah, all right. Yeah, I got passionate. Yeah, bring the right leg in. All right, now raise the left arm up, and then turn, and then cross your knee toward the straight leg, and then catch. All right, now take your right arm to the side and reach the left arm more so that the left side of your waist crosses the leg. You have to cross the leg and then come back up. Yeah, so don't let the knee spill out like this. You want to close. This is why you can't do it during menstruation, because you feel that in your abdomen, how tight that is. Okay, so now get the no gap. You want to close the gap between the side of the trunk and the leg. Okay, now turn your right toes in toward the left leg, and then press into the feet and lift, move the outer hips in toward the spine and lift the spine up. And then turn the chest. Now walk your right hand farther back. You can put it on the wall. You can put it on the blanket, but you want to iron out the back. So the right back ribs have to go to the right, and the left back ribs have to go to the right. Those muscles have to go from left to right. Yours go right to left. I'm sorry. Okay, now turn the head. Iron. Release the head and release the twist. Okay, so we're getting deeper into the core here. Are you feeling that? Okay, so we went from the periphery. We're going to the core. Now bend the left knee. Take your left arm behind you. Raise the right arm up. Now we're doing this to lift the spine. And then turn and to create space. And then turn and catch. And then take your left hand farther over and tip onto your left buttock. Now move your left knee to the center toward your other leg and reach that right arm and turn the navel and catch deeper. Yes, and then take your left arm behind you. Now press into both legs. That's your base. Draw the outer thighs to the hips and make the hips narrow and ascend the front of the spine. Ascend taller, 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 and then put your hand more behind on the wall and iron out the back. Move the back from left to right and the right chest forward and the sternum up. And then turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Grow tall, iron out the back, like you did in Parivrttta, Sutra Padangustasana. Now the breath changes, it's short, it's labored. You have to breathe in the back. And then exhale, let go of the head, let go of the twist. So those of you who can, do one more time Parivrttta. I promise it's the last one. Yeah, you could use the trestle. How would that be? Let's try it. I'll show you. Bring a block. On your own. So you have a block somewhere? Okay, so put your back to the trestle and separate the feet. Now, turn the right foot out, left toes in, and place that brick here. Put your right hand there and left hand bring to the brick. That's it. Now step your right foot forward a little bit. There we go. All right, now you can use the horse as leverage to turn the trunk. Yes, and this can come down, the left waist, the left back, that's it. That's good. All right, now, if that's okay, then you take the brick to the outside. If it bothers you, then don't. Is it okay on your knee? You see how the trestle is reducing the weight on your knee? Maybe it's the other side, I don't know. Puja, come over here to the wall. Inhale and come up when you're ready. Bring a block. Here's one. So you can be like this. Okay? So back to near the wall, feet apart, turn the right leg out. I'm going to show puja. Okay? Yes, left hand to the block if you can. Now, if you can also put it here. You might be a little too close to, there we go. Bend the elbow. If you bend it, you push more this way. Now lengthen the crown of the head. That's it. This whole side of the back has to go down. Yes, this hip has to go high. Yes, beautiful. Now lengthen, lengthen, chin away from the chest. And then inhale and come up.
This was more
Yeah.
for like
Well, you were able to twist, right?
Yeah.
Because your hands weren't hanging.
leverage, not effort.
Leverage. Yes. Other side. Oh, we did both sides? Okay. So that's the last Parivrttta Trikonasana. I hope it went well for you. And I hope you understand how all these other twists related. Okay. Supta Baddha Konasana. So you lie with your feet toward the wall. Okay. Bring the soles of the feet toward each other. So this is a relaxing Supta Baddha Konasana. So I don't want you to use the strap. Okay, I don't want you to intensify this. This is the whole purpose of this is to open the groins and to undo the twisting. This is a compensation, you can say. So does anybody have groins that are fatigued or painful right now? Okay, all right. So sometimes from a practice like this, you can get a little bit sore in the groins. That means you worked the groins. So now just release from the inner thigh to the inner knee. If there's any hip pain and you need support on the outer thighs, you can take it. So you have to have enough effort in the legs to pull the outer hips in, to make them a little bit narrow so that the femurs don't drop out of the sockets. Okay, now take the arms over the head. Yeah, and find out how does that affect the abdomen and the groins. So we should always be examining what are the effects of our actions. Understand how one part of the body affects another part of the body, how the body actions employ the breath, how the body actions affect the breath, change the breath, and how the mind and the breath and the mind and the body work together. Sometimes when a certain action or opening will bring up a memory. So that's an interaction between the body, the breath, and the mind. Or sometimes there will be a realization, or sometimes there will be an imagining, or an understanding. So maybe you're understanding how this is opening the front of the pelvis that we just contracted. Now exhale and bring the arms back to the sides. And get ready for shoulder balance. So I want you to put your feet on blocks for Chatushpadasana, just to start. So if you have 2 blocks, then put them at the wall. I see one here. Get these for myself. Does anybody need? You need one? You need one? Okay. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate. You can do it with support. So I would put a brick under the sacrum. Okay, Puja, move aside, okay? I'm going to use your spot. No, I'm going to use Belita's spot. Thank you. Okay, so we're putting the feet on the bricks. And bringing the buttocks in close. And then press the inner edges of the feet and lift the hips up. Okay, now this is all well and good, but I'm not really doing anything. It's not helping me prepare for Sarvangasana. For Sarvangasana, I need this open. I need this to stretch. So I have to lift the buttocks higher, and then in order to get the buttocks higher, I have to get the dorsal higher. So I'm rolling the arms inside out, pressing the feet, and lifting the back of the spine to the front of the spine. Look at the top of the shin bone. It has to go this way. You see the effect? How the spine looks if you move the top of the shin bone toward the head? Okay, your turn. Okay, get your buttocks in close. It's okay if the toes climb up the wall, no problem, but have the toes in and the heels wider. So those of you who turn the toes out, you're gonna have to turn your toes a little bit more in. You have to get the ball of the foot on the brick. Yes. Okay, now scoot the buttocks in as close as you can and then lift the pelvis. Yeah, so you wouldn't elevate the feet in your case. Yes. Okay, now roll the upper arms inside out and lift the back of the dorsal spine and move the shins back. You're already doing it. You're doing beautifully. And now work with the breath. Is the breath in the pelvis? Can you feel the breath in the abdomen? Can you feel the breath in the chest? Can you feel the breath in the head, face, brain, and skull? Slowly come down. Exhale, come down. Do one more time, please. Press the inner edges of the heels, lift the buttocks up, and adjust your shoulders. Okay, and then from the outer hip, lengthen to the outer knee. From the inner thigh, go down. So the outer hip's higher than the inner hips. And then lift the shoulder blades, lift the back, the dorsal spine. Try to get your breastbone vertical, vertical. And then exhale and come down. Or inhale and come down, as the case may be. Okay, now roll to the side, and you're either going to do shoulder stand, or if you can do classical shoulder stand, that's what you do. If you're on your period and you can't do that, or you can't do that, you can either do, Setu Bandha. If you have a shoulder issue, you can do chair. Is your shoulder bothering?
It's just one muscle back here. It was fine, and then I tweaked it again.
Okay, all right. Can you do chair Sarvangasana? In the chair? Your hips on the chair? Okay, you get a chair, I'll show you how to do it.
That'll probably be good.
It won't irritate it. And then afterward, I can put you in a shoulder shavasana with sandbags. Yeah. Is it throbbing bad right now?
No.
Okay,
Just when I move it.
all right, okay. Get that thing away from me. All right, we got to focus on some of you. Okay, so you fold your mat and you put it on the seat of the chair. Did it bother you when you were doing Chatushpadasana, that last pose? Did that bother your shoulder blade? Okay, so it's from the twisting, I think. Is it right inside the shoulder blade? That's from the twisting.
Yep.
All right.
That's when I.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to put this near the wall. Go get a white blanket and a green bolster. Does anybody need any help with their setup? Okay, Belita, can I ask you to change places with Sophia? Because I want the two people doing the same. Wait a minute now. Yeah, so I want all the people doing classical shoulder stand next to each other. So Pooja, move over to your right, or actually it's going to be fine. Okay, so now for chair Sarvangasana. Do you still get numb when you do a higher setup?
It just is slippery.
Like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, so straddle this. Yeah, now raise your knees up on the bar and then just pull your buttocks way in close. You're gonna be like an astronaut in a capsule. That's good. Okay, now slide your shoulders and your hips toward the bolster. Get your shoulders to the bolster. You have to let go of the legs. Keep going. Shoulders down. There you go. All right, now notice that the sacrum is hooked on the, that's where you want it. Now take your arms inside. Yeah, now thumbs on the right on. Now can you roll the shoulders in? Like, yeah, like you did. Okay, now I'm going to push you closer to the wall because it's a lot easier on the legs. Your hair okay? Okay, now extend the legs to the wall, heels to the wall, toes pull toward your legs. All right, you two, come on. Get with it. So all okay, Brandy? Yep, okay. Okay, so you two in classical, we're gonna do some variations. So come to Halasana. Put the belt on your wrist. If you haven't, put the belt on your wrist, both wrists. And then you turn the upper arms inside out and you test this. No, I didn't. So always start here, okay? Start here and then adjust. And you say, oh, okay, it's good. I like that. Then you bend the elbows and take it here. But stop at this stage and test it. Now put your hands on your back, as low to the shoulder blades as you can, and then lift the roots of the thighs and then kick up. Press the elbows down and lift the back higher up and lift the buttocks up and in. Okay, now take the right leg down to the floor slowly. See, halfway and stop. Extend the calf to the heel. Now, if you can, take it to the floor, outer foot in line to outer hip. Don't cross the median line. Little wider, Siri, little wider. Little wider, Sophia. Yes, now lift the outer hip. Lift the right outer hip up, yes. Now from the lift of the left leg, roll the left leg in and then raise the right leg. So that left leg should not lose its firmness. Okay, roll both thighs in, get the buttocks in, get the back in and up, and lift the inner right leg as you slowly take the left leg halfway down. Ekapada Sarvangasana. Now tighten the knee and stretch the calf to the heel and roll the right leg in and lift the inner right leg and cut that outer right ankle in. Keeping the right leg in its place, slowly bring the left leg to the floor. Pull the quadricep to the hip, the left quadricep to the hip. Yes. Lift the outer left hip up and roll the right leg in. Now use your breath to raise the left leg straight up. Roll the outer thighs in, all of you. Beautiful. You ladies in Setu Bandha, you're looking great. Chair people looking great. Okay, now take the left leg halfway down. Pause. Roll the right leg in and tighten the left knee. Exhale, bring the left leg all the way to the floor. Now bring the right leg to Halasana. Okay, lift the roots of the thighs up in Halasana and then separate the legs to Supta Konasana. Walk the left leg to the right leg for Parshva Halasana. So this is like Parshva Dandasana that you did earlier. Lift the outer left hip as high as the outer right hip. Turn your right back ribs toward the front body. Don't let the chest has to resist the turn of the legs. Okay, now Supta Konasana, very nice. right leg to the left for Parshvahalasana. Okay, in chairs, you can take your legs to Baddha Konasana. Try to get the feet even. Beautiful, Siri. And now, Sophia, bring your left foot toward the hip. Yes, and bring the heels in. Now, resist the right leg against the left and lift the right hip higher. Lift the right, yes, yes, turn like that. And left side ribs forward, and turn your chest left to right. Breathe. So this is very good for the colon. Now come back to the center. Bend the knees, take your feet to Halasana, bend the knees to Karnapidasana and take the belt off. Okay, and now all of you people, you can slide out, stay in Karnapidasana. You can slide out and set up for Shavasana. Lift the inner knees to the groins. Let the outer hips go down toward the knees. Let the back go move from front to back, and the anus and the perineum get daylight, get air. This creates a natural sense of pratyahara, or withdrawing the senses inward toward the source. And now slowly roll out. All right, and then you'll set up for Shavasana. Yes, and rest with your throat open. Very good. Yeah. You might want to move, opposite heads so that you don't run into anybody else's arms, or Brenna just got fully out of the way, so that's fine too. But see now, Brenna, move back because Randy doesn't really have much space. Yeah, good, 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 good. Somebody's phone is texting or dinging. If you think it could be yours, please check it. Yeah. Okay, now if you need to cover up, you can cover up. All right. So the title of tonight's session was Churning and Turning from the Periphery to the Core. So think about how we did the asanas, starting with the open twist, like the closed twist, but straight limbs, like Parivrttta Trikonasana. And we use that as the launching point for a lot of other poses. And we saw that we were able to improve our Parivrttta Trikonasana by practicing other twists. And then we also saw, perhaps you felt that those other asanas were accessible because of the work that you did in Parivrttta Trikonasana. So they affect each other. And I hope that you experience the work in the legs and the feet and how they connected to the spine, and then how we eventually started turning the organs. So yoga is a yogasana as one of the limbs of Ashtanga yoga. Is a process of purification where you go from the periphery to the core. It's a process of involution, going inward. And we burned impurities like stiffness and fear and ignorance, and started to develop knowledge about the physical body, perhaps the physiological body, by attending to the breath and the organs. And that inward process becomes a support for concentration and meditation. And so notice what does it feel like? How the body has been purified, how the mind has been purified, how the energy all around you and through you has changed. Hopefully for the better. Now be quiet and you bring your mind inward toward the source of consciousness. And let everything else slip away.